Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast. Today, I am so happy to welcome Blanka. She is a parenting coach for parents who want to raise their self-awareness and build stronger and healthier bonds with children. So, thank you so much, Blanka, for being here.
Hello, thank you for having me here.
Of course. And I will share, I'm not a parent. I know you're a parent, and I don't know how you guys do it. To be honest, you guys
Me
are all
neither.
super
Me
yeah,
neither.
you guys are all superheroes. And I would love your like just thoughts because I think too, and I was thinking about this earlier this week just because I just have random thoughts sometimes that like parenting is just I feel like so much harder today than it ever was, or maybe it's the pressure people are putting on parents. Like maybe just expand on that thought and let me know your thoughts around that because I'm not a parent, so but I feel for you guys.
It's definitely not easy. It's never
Yeah,
been easy.
yeah.
Um, we feel different kind of pressure nowadays as our generation. I'm a millennial,
So am
so
I. Yeah.
I can see that what was the difficulty for baby boomers, what was the difficulty for Gen X's and my mom's
Mhm.
generation, and now the millennials is just right now our challenge is that there are so much information available and you want to do your best. And like nobody signs up to be like a crappy parent, and you try to do your parenting and you are like, what am I doing? Who am I listening to? And you are parenting as you were parented. So
Yeah.
the millennials is actually the first generation, most of the millennials, who are reparenting themselves when they are parenting.
Mm.
And I just had shivers. I just read this
Yeah.
research because, and it's tough. So when the baby boomers, when there were like tragical historical events, supply chain was not stable, parents didn't have the capability and capacity to the mind, the headspace to actually think about like, okay, my kids are fulfilled, are they happy? They were like, okay, we have roof over our head, they are fed, they drink, their diaper is changed, and they are sleeping, and that was it. And now
Hmm.
we when you can reach to the internet and order everything online, you easily get whatever you want. The sky is the limit. Now you have the headspace to actually like, okay, let's slow down and let's just break everything down and try to rewire and make a better environment, a mentally and emotionally healthier environment for the next generation.
No, I love that you brought that up because I was actually thinking last night in a class that I was having for my family therapy degree that just emotionally, like boomers, I know my dad is a boomer, similar to I'm probably sure because we're both millennials, maybe our parents
Yeah,
are
yeah,
boomers. Um, that like that generation when it comes to feeling and emotional wellness, like they were not brought up on feelings. And I was having a conversation with another parent, a parent, I'm not a parent, another parent, yes, last week, and she was like, yeah, my kids came home from school with like a feeling wheel, and I'm like, I'm going to school for in a master's program, and I first saw my first feeling wheel when I was in my early 30s, and these little kids are coming home with these few, and I love that for them. But it shows the shift in generations.
exactly. And the thing is that so many so many people is like, oh, the gentle parenting and the touchy-feely things is like you can swing from one way to another. We have to find that healthy balance, that not over parenting our kids and but also teaching them about their feelings.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as a society, we don't have the vocabulary for our emotions, and we have so much trapped emotions in ourselves, causing all sorts of blockages, physical, mental, emotional, and sometimes financial actually, that we have to learn ourselves actually to notice our feelings, bringing
Yeah.
self awareness to our feelings, name our feelings, name it. So, what you name, you can tame because we are
Yeah. I
just
love
so.
that saying.
I,
Yep.
I
I love
really
that
love that.
saying.
That's just like, oh,
Yeah.
because people are like so afraid to say that I'm angry because they
Yeah. Or I
think,
feel this. Yeah.
I feel this because they think that anger is defining who they are. But it's like anger anger is part of you and it's okay to be
Mhm.
angry and it's healthy to be angry, but we are just suppressing so much. And
Yep.
that's why people have anger issues sometimes and they like,
100%.
oh, they are just burst into or road raging on the streets
Hmm.
because they have their emotions not lived in a good way, or they are suppressing their emotions and like and they just explode like a volcano.
Oh, I always say to people, and I actually just came up with this because you reminded me of that. And oh, it's so refreshing to just talk to somebody who speaks my language. What you don't process, you project. So if
Yes.
you suppress an
Mhm.
emotion and some like, and I want to just normalize for everybody, like we're all human beings, like parent or not, child, student, whatever role you are in, entrepreneur, coach, whatever, woman, man, we are experiencing emotions is part of the human experience. So
Yes, and you have to
it is
let
okay
it
to
be. Yeah.
feel, yeah, like it is okay to feel your feelings. And I sometimes, and as that's why like I got into more of the mental health. I'm a coach, but I'm going to my degree with into mental health is because feelings matter, big time. And they have a big impact as you know from your work on other people,
Yes, exactly.
especially children.
Especially children, yes,
Just,
who are
you know,
mirroring your emotions even more than, and they are just,
yeah,
yes, amplifying. And the thing is that we shouldn't mess up that it's like feeling your feelings. It doesn't mean that you can just go out and hit somebody
yes,
because you are angry.
100%.
Actually, how we can regulate that as part of emotional developing our emotional intelligence, and how we can let it out in a healthy way, how we can live
Mhm.
that, and how we can be not stuck in that emotion. So it's like that's why it's like what meditation and Buddhist says is just like let it flow
Yes,
through you.
through you.
It
It's
doesn't
yep.
need to be attached to you, and it's not part of your identity. It's just like, yes, anger can be part of me and it can go. Happiness can be part of me and it flows. It's just like all temporary. It comes and goes. We just like go stuck in that and we're like
Yeah.
holding on to it as it would be like part of our identity. It doesn't need to be.
Well, that's why actually, speaking of what you said, I've been on pre other podcasts and like they've asked me like, what's like, could you leave some advice for our our listeners? And I'm like, oh, you're taking advice from me, all right? I'm just kidding. But I actually say, and I've been very conscious of when I'm feeling something, I say I feel instead of or I'm experiencing whatever feeling instead of saying I am, because you're right, when you are in a state, if you say I am or I'm, that is tied, like that verbiage is tied to your identity. And maybe if you're just saying it in your head, I reframe it to be like, oh, I'm experiencing anxiety right now, or I feel angry, or I feel uncomfortable, instead of being like I am, because there's that little nuance is big.
I love that. And this is great because
Yeah.
it's just first you might slip and you have to rewire
Oh,
your
of course.
brain
Yeah.
all the
No, yeah.
time, like
Oh, yeah,
using
yeah.
it. But I love that idea that it's just what I'm feeling in that
Yes.
right in this moment. It's not who am I?
Exactly. It's not exactly. It's not, and that's what I think too with feelings is that like and that's why like I find it interesting when people are, I feel like, chasing feelings like I want to be happy, or it's like and like I've worked on this with my therapist, is that like I've learned like feelings are fleeting. So you're going to go in and out of them all the time. Like of course we all want to be in like a state, like for like a positive feeling state for a while, but like it's natural to go in and out of different feelings like throughout, I mean, 24 hours a day. I can't even tell you how many feelings I have in 24 hours of a day.
And you just go walk out and somebody is rude and it's like
And
it's
then
your
it's, yeah,
happiness is already gone. It's like no, you can be in inner peace. It's like just leave them be who they are. If they are rude, they are rude. They
yeah,
don't have to tell you who you are or how should you feel at all.
yeah, yeah. And I love that also too, with your work, and you brought up like one of my favorite things is self-awareness as just people, and also especially as parents. I mean, like I don't have a little one, but and like they're little, little mirrors that walk around and reflect everything that you do, and you're sometimes you're like, oh wow, I do that, you know?
super annoying. That's what I told you before. Before you, in most of the case, it can be very annoying, and that's when parents came and like, "What's going on?" And I had days when I was just like, I was stressed. I didn't sleep well. Maybe I was dehydrated. I didn't eat,
Mm-hmm.
and my little one was picking up my energy, and she started
Mm-hmm.
to be naughty or doing naughty things, and I was like, why she can just not sit down and just read and be so I can?
Yeah.
Because they are picking your energy up. And
Mm-hmm.
until you regulate your emotions and get into neutral, more neutral, they will not. Don't
Mm.
expect them to do that for you as a 3-year old, what you cannot
Oh
do as
no,
a
they can't.
parent.
They
And
can't. Their nervous systems are new.
they are developing, they are
Yeah.
modeling what you are doing. You have to lead by example, and it's easier
Hmm.
said than done. It's
Of
like,
course. Oh, we're
it
all human.
doesn't mean that I didn't yell, and it's just like, okay, mommy needs a minute. You go
Hmm.
maybe into the room, you yell into the pillow, and they knock on
Yeah.
the door because
Yeah.
it's like you
Oh, I
lock
know.
the
They're like, what are you
door.
doing in there?
What are you doing there? And it's like, okay, just give me that serenity I need, the inner peace
Hmm.
right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I think too, when we come from a place of peace, regulation, whatever you calm, I mean, I use the term regulation, and I will say I've been actually learning through my journey. I don't work with parents or children in my coaching, but like I'm learning that that is like we're getting into like the nervous system regulation world and people are using that verbiage, but that's very new to, just like for you and I, it's like, oh yeah, we're regulated, like, but we kind of live in this space. And for a lot of people, they're like, what does that mean? Like, what is so like for, I mean, just to define it for everybody, it's like it is a state of calm where you're connected, where you're grounded, you're not, stressed and overwhelmed and all that stuff. So I just like wanted to clarify that because I've found in my conversations with people, they're like, look at me after I say the word regulated, and they'll be like, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I just have to, make it into their language. Um, but yeah, it's super important. Not only for children, but anybody around you, because your energy can impact,
Your
a
energy is
friend.
contagious. So
Exactly.
you can, especially if you are working with other people, you are going into your office or with your spouse, with your kids, no matter how, it's like you are impacting people.
A
And you
hundred
can
percent.
positively impact people if you can be anchored. I like
Mm-hmm.
grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many people don't know that it's actually their nervous system that's messing with them. They are like, just, oh, why am I yelling? Or why am I doing this? Or why I feel lazy and
Mm.
or not motivated? Or it's just, oh, I wish I would have more willpower. It's actually not. Your body might not feel safe. Your body
Yeah.
is like feeling that acute stress, and you've been living with. And I was living and I was raised in a very unstable country
Hmm.
financially. The Berlin Wall came down when I was 5 years old. So
Wow. Yeah.
an Eastern European country, post-communist, they didn't know what they were doing, financially
Mm-hmm.
unstable. There was like, okay, here is the West now. We are belonging to the West. What does that mean? And also financially, my family, all sorts of traumas. And I was always on fight and fight. And that's how my
Yeah, you weren't
prior
ever
brain
regulated.
was.
Yeah.
Yes, my brain was. And that's why it's like, I didn't know when I had my first boyfriends that why they called me a drama queen. It's like, no, it's just my nervous system was looking for and searching and co-creating and
Hmm.
creating what I got used to. And I
Yeah.
was like, when it was peace and it was like a good period and we loved each other, I was like, something is wrong. I need to leave right
Hmm.
now. So that's
Hmm.
when I was like, I'm out of here. It was actually not me being a drama queen. It's just my nervous system was looking what was calibrated on a very high level of stress.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would even, and like I don't want to put words in your mouth or define your experience, but what you experienced, like the Berlin Wall and financial impacts of like, your country, that is a like non-intentional like trauma. Like, you know what I mean? Like that your body was in that activated state because like you had to, it was out of necessity, out of survival. So it was like,
Exactly.
your body telling you like, yeah, like when in the time of you unrest, like you're like, I want to keep you safe. And that's something that I've learned in my life too, that um our bodies, as wonderful and sophisticated as they are, like there's still, and even like the fight or flight response that you just said, like it's still so primitive that, like, I hate to say this, like a notification from your phone can activate the same fight or flight response that like a more dramatic situation, or like like a lion in the, back in the day, like the fact that it hasn't, our body still reacts the same way to like something that's vastly different is very real. I mean, you
Absolutely.
know,
You
and that's why
just
we're all activated. We're also overstimulated in this society.
Oh, we are overstimulated with bombarded with a lot of information. It's just, and imagine like you are getting the email from your boss, and you just see the subject is like, okay, am I fired? And you might just like go down into the rabbit hole that, okay, if I'm fired, I will not be able to pay my bills. I will not
And then
be
you
able to
start
have food.
ruminating. Yep.
And it's like, okay, am I expelled from this company? So I will not have buddies. So it's just like, on your logical level, it's just like it doesn't make sense always, but your body reacts. This is it's in your DNA.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it starts with like, yeah, like the brain, and then it goes through your body through the nervous system. But yeah, I mean, I think we spoke about this the first time, but like I love the book, The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah,
It's more about trauma, but they talk about the nervous system and the brain, but it's more about how trauma impacts the body and your body. I mean, that's why too with your boyfriend, you know what I mean? You reacted in a certain way because that was like your muscle memory in your body
that was
telling
my
you.
default. I had to
Hmm.
bring awareness. This is when awareness come to play.
Yes.
That okay, here are my triggers. What can I
Hmm.
do about those triggers, and bringing awareness and start to heal those? Then instead of like labeling that, oh, you are just a drama queen, or you are too bossy, or this or that, it's like, what is in this? It's like, okay, I need control. Why? Because
Hmm.
I'm not trusting. Why I'm not trusting? Because my nervous system couldn't trust that environment where I grew up
Exactly.
in.
Yeah.
And so it's like, instead of labeling people, let's go a little bit further down
Hmm.
and bringing awareness that, okay, what's going on in me that
Hmm.
needs attention in this moment?
And I will say too, just as like from what I've learned from my learned experience in life and also like educationally, it's not even a word. I don't think it's a word. In my education, I apologize. I don't think that's a word. That your nervous system knows patterns and it picks up
Yeah.
patterns and you train it. And also too, your brain is wired and you're wired to go to something that's familiar. So even if
Yeah.
dysfunction or dysregulation is familiar, if it's familiar to you, you're gonna default to that setting versus what's healthy. Actually, what's healthy in when you're retraining your nervous system and how you feel towards something and healing those wounds or whatever, it's gonna feel foreign to go to the like what's healthy because you're not, your body and your brain are not trained for that. It's trained for dysfunction or dysregulation or to always just be like, oh, on edge. Like it'll feel odd in the beginning, I'm sure.
Yes, and it needs a conscious decision. And so many times you will slip because it takes time. You were like wired one way, and now you are building a new neural path in your
Yeah.
brain that is actually, I have to do something differently. And your brain likes to keep you lazy in that way. I don't like that word, but it's like, it's
Yeah.
always trying to find falls back into default. It's like, okay, this is the pattern, this is the
Hmm.
mechanism I know, so these are attached, and now you are breaking those bonds, and it's like, okay, this happens, what can I do differently? So I'm building a new bond, step by
New, yeah.
step, experience by experience, which takes time and a lot of
Oh yeah,
effort.
yeah. This doesn't happen. Well, it's as you know, neuroplasticity and neural pathways. Like I see it like, like the groove in a river, like or any
Yeah.
moving body of water at the bottom of the river, like the ground. There's those like little grooves from the water. It's like you're literally like erasing that and then building new grooves in your brain to
Yes,
go
exactly.
different routes. And yeah, and you're right, and like you're right, like, and I always say this too about patterns, about everything, like what you don't repair repeats. So I think that's the danger with or why people need to be self-aware and heal these things within themselves before, because if you don't have self-awareness and you don't look at yourself and get curious about that, these patterns will then be, as you know, we talked about, like spread across, good or bad, across generations.
Exactly. You can inherit trauma. So if you
Oh
are
yeah,
not
yeah.
changing, if you're not changing, you are like, oh, why should I deal with this? Because it's actually affecting you more than you think. And the
Hmm.
thing is that people don't really make that connection that something happened because they are maybe not aware of that trauma. Something happened, and that's why I'm struggling today. Mentally, financially, physically, emotionally, or my child is suffering. And so again, making those unfamiliar connection, that
Hmm.
not going down the traditional route that okay, I have, let's say, ADHD, and it's
Hmm.
like okay, I go to a doctor, they may maybe prescribe medication for me or like giving me exercises, but what if we can do something different about it? So
Yeah.
making those untraditional connection, then what can you do about it? It's the new key.
Oh yeah, no, and I even like go further, like I look at, just family systems, but also like societally and culturally, like you brought my, awareness to me, so thank you, of like, your upbringing in a country that was, going through a lot of transition, like change for change for a person is difficult, for like an individual. Then you take a whole country and system and a government system that fell, and like that was in disarray, and it's gonna take some time to recalibrate. And I know for specifically, and I think there was a person that I was speaking to, um who's a neighbor of mine, and she said to me over the summer, we were talking about, kind of stuff, that her daughter is like a 9/11 baby, and meaning like she was pregnant around the time like 9/11 happened, and she's like, I think, and she struggles with anxiety, and she was like, her daughter,
Hmm.
and she was like, I think there's a I was like, absolutely there's a connection to like your, I mean, of course that was a very scary time in the US, like terrorism, we didn't know, I mean, that was just we've people felt unsafe, and that I she's like, I think that impacted like my pregnancy and my, I was like, and my daughter, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, like it's just like even things that go around, like around in us in our society, will impact. Like I always like, even take it a step further and be like, what's going on in the world that is impacting our, ourselves and then the future generations, which is why I think it's so important, like we talked about, that I love that parents and children now are more emotionally aware. People are tapping into their emotions because I think we're seeing the effects of if we don't. And no offense to the other generations, but they just didn't have the tools and the resources.
And the headspace for that. So
Yeah.
we are building on those generations. We are standing on their shoulders. Uh, we can do differently. And we
Yes.
inherited a lot of trauma for them, so it has to stop with us.
Yeah.
And with the 9/11 baby, yes, I would definitely go further on that because, especially a fetus in the mommy's belly, I mean, they are breathing and living with the mama for nine
Oh,
months
yes,
and
that's like yeah,
later is
yeah, that's part of
so
them. Yep.
and that impacts anybody. I mean, the fear of death, it's just like literally starting before they were born. Absolutely, I would definitely go further down and explore
Oh,
that further.
yes. I mean, I would say like I'm not an expert in this, but I know there are studies and articles done about the, state of the mother, whether it be like a mental disorder, whether they experience anxiety or what have you, or and that how that translates into, the baby's nervous system and how they react to the world. Like, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
And especially if like 9/11, when did it happen, is like the first trimester when actually the brain
Yes,
is
yep,
massively formed and the wires are connecting. So it's yeah, definitely
yeah.
worth to explore further.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I'm all about I'm taking a lot of this semester in my classes, a lot of I mean as family therapists we're very systemic, but I'm taking a social justice and like cultural diversity class. So I'm like whenever I take my classes I get like very ingrained in like what the and in the subject matter, and I'm now like very societally and culturally aware. So like I'm always like, "Oh, well, what was going on?" during that time when, like, because we are impacted by our environments.
And I found interesting connection actually. You don't have to believe if you don't want, but
Oh, no, I'm
so many people have peanut allergies. And
yes,
what
nowadays, yeah.
nowadays, and even kids, and peanut sometimes can symbolize that working for peanut. So,
Mm,
and slavery and undervalued work from older
yes.
generation can be still in the system. And so it's also worth to explore that if your kids or you have peanut allergies, is like, okay, was there any trauma in the family when
Mm,
somebody was not paid or was exploited or
that's
was
very interesting.
slave? I did that for my daughter actually. So I have a
Really?
lot of, yes, actually, and her peanut allergy is improving. So
That's amazing.
the
That's amazing.
that's amazing because she had like I have the pictures of her first year, second, and now the third year allergy test on her back for the
Uh-huh.
peanut, and it's decreasing. And because
Wow.
I'm not saying that it's just this, but it's like I've worked a lot on the
Mm,
poverty and suffering and struggling on my lineage, and
mhm.
she's getting better. So if
That's
this,
amazing.
I know it's I'm
I
not
love
saying
that.
that it's everybody, but it's again another thing that untraditional things then can lead to healing. So
Yeah, I would say too, and I would love your perspective on this. And mind you, I am not an expert, and I would say I believe in that. What you just said is so impactful to me because sometimes I think we look too closely at something with like a narrow lens. Like we have to take a step back. And I love that you connected a, a financial struggle. I would call that like me, like, a wound, a trauma, whatever you want, whatever
yeah,
fits best for you. And to a symptom, because
yes,
to me, like, and how it, like, and that's normally how it starts, and then it's maybe starts with you, but you cross through generations, because also too we know through family therapy, like, symptoms can, that's how they present, like, that's how this, whatever, I'll just use a general term of like generational trauma. That's how they present in people. They present as symptoms, they present as disorders. And I would love your opinion, because, and I will say I am not an expert, and I do need to do more education with for myself around this. But, and I know the one thing about this is testing, but recently in children, and I know you have a young daughter, but especially in boys, I feel like there's been this, of course, prevalence of ADHD and autism, in like younger boys. I know we're testing for it more, but I'm very curious to what you know. And I don't know if you have any thoughts of what you think the, not the root cause, because it's different for everybody, but like, why
it's
is this
different for
happening?
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's different for everybody. Yeah.
So it's different for everybody. I have clients or had clients with living with ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, one client had like a suppressed anger,
Mm.
become bringing it from his uncle. And
Mm-hmm.
so we started to work on his ADHD. And again, it's like a nervous system deregulation too,
Mm-hmm.
that he grew up in a very unstable or emotionally suppressed family environment. So we were healing that to have his ADHD getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the umbrella
Yeah, I
cause.
think it's
That's
very individual.
it's
I also
very
do know
individual, but
more
again, with
testing.
family constellation, what I'm doing, the family constellation work therapy, we can look at it. So it's one thing
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
can definitely look at. One session will not bring like an overall resolution, but it can bring you relief. So on a family constellation session, we are working until you have some kind of relief. And
Mm.
then after the couple weeks coming up, you see if there is any changes. It's like, do you feel a relief, like physical, mental relief, or can you focus a little bit more? So you definitely we can look at it with family constellation therapy.
I love that word too, constellation. That's a beautiful, in the family therapy world, we call it a genogram. It's very like dry, and but I love that family constellation, because it's true. You're all connected. A constellation, I see it as like
Yeah,
it's a system it's all interconnected, and it makes this beautiful
exactly.
map, if you will. And I love that. I think that's beautiful. I love that.
Yes, I love that too. So you can call it systemic constellation or family
Yeah,
constellation, but
I
yes,
love
you
it.
have to imagine like a spider web with dots
Yeah,
on
I
symbolizing
love
a
that.
membership.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
visualization of a constellation. Because yeah, like I think of like yeah, like Genogram or systemic, and it's like you're right. It's a constellation. That's
You are
amazing.
connected to all of your
Yes.
relatives, even they are forgotten. So yes.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're all, as I'm learning, like interconnected in, our family systems and then society. Like I could go far out, but
Oh,
like
you can. I mean, you are
you can go
connected
really
to
far out.
everybody, but
I
yes.
sometimes I have to limit myself. I'm like, don't go too far, Danielle. Don't go too far out.
Yeah.
But once you see, like, as we're talking about the impact of all these things around you, I mean, it's yeah, we live in a very going back, circling full back to like my first statement about just parenting. I just feel like it's so as I said, so much information and so like we're on overload. And it's
Oh, yeah.
like when do you like how do you sift through all of it, you know?
Yeah. And, but sometimes you underestimate or we underestimate how much healing or how much the healing we are doing can impact others. So it's like
Mhm.
when you want to zoom out, it's like, oh, I have to have word peace around me, and I'm responsible for that. Yes, you are responsible when you are starting your own healing journey, and that's impacting your future generation, the generations who were behind you, and then it can expand. So
Yeah. That's how the
underestimating
power of
our own
healing.
healing, yes.
I actually it's so funny you said that because we're on the universe knows we're on the same level here. I just was on Instagram and I was looking through a reel and this guy was saying, I forgive me, I don't know his name. I think he was on a podcast and they were just promoting it. And he was saying like in this world we live in, a lot of us are talking about, we're using a lot of therapeutic language like like healing and boundaries and all that stuff. And he was like, that's all nice to say, but you have to then hold yourself accountable to your own healing. Like you can be like, yes, I'm healing, but are you changing your behaviors? Are you going what you said and looking in and peeling back the layers of why is this going on? Like where do you think, like so I feel like when we say like you're healing, you then as a person, as hopefully a self-aware person, need to then hold yourself accountable for the different actions you're taking to heal and whatever that means for you.
And the thing is that people again forget how much power they have over their own healing and how you are responsible. So many people is like, here is my partner, here's my child, here's my coworker, fix them. It's like actually if you start to fix yourself, heal yourself. I don't like the fix, but it's
No,
like
we're not broken. We are
we are
not
not
broken.
not
Yeah.
broken exactly. But if you start to do the healing, it will affect your outer work. But you cannot heal from the outside to inside. You are, because that's not a true healing. It will fall apart. It's not sustainable. But when you are healing from inside out, that's when actually everything starts to line up with you. And it's like, oh, I can do this. But as you mentioned, it's accountability, it's responsibility, it's
Yeah.
work. Sometimes it's very
Oh,
ugly. Sometimes it's actually
yes,
very painful and hurtful, and you
absolutely.
just want to cuss. And it's like, that's okay, but do the work. And
Oh,
then
yeah. Yeah.
everything will line up and you will see changes. You will see that your coworker will change their behavior, hopefully mirroring yours. Same with your partner, same with your kids, whoever,
Hmm.
same with your parents.
Absolutely. I mean, I know from personal experience, that when you start doing that inner, and you're right, it's work. I mean,
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
and
hmm,
I've
hmm.
tried, and I would like, I've tried to reframe it as like, but I'm like, no, like, I've even was actually on the phone with my therapist earlier this morning, and I said, like, I live a very self-examined life. I would say awareness is one of my like, core values. Like, I want to be self-aware. I want to have internal and external awareness. That's just something I value, as a person in this world. I know other people don't, but for me, that's important to me. And I was like, I live a very self-examined life. I'm very like that's just the way I want to live, and that's important to me. And but I told her I was like, but it's a lot of work. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's it's constantly awareness, checking in with myself, holding myself accountable. That's another one of my values is accountability. Like it's a lot of, people don't see it on the outside, like or what's going on in my internal system here, but it's like I mean, therapy is one area where I work on it, but I do a lot of, just inner like journaling and self-reflection, and it might sound a little indulgent, but it helps me like better myself. But like I say that I'm like it's a full-time job. Like,
It's a
you know,
full-time job. It can be a full-time job,
I
yes.
mean, like, yeah, I'm lucky that I found a career and my like business life intertwines and integrates really well with all that stuff. But I can imagine if I had a totally different career and then like, that wasn't in this space of like, mental health and self-improvement and personal development. And I had like, and I was maybe like, let's say I was, I don't know, doing something totally different and I like couldn't ingrain it into my everyday. I'm also very passionate about it. But because I wouldn't know how to like switch hats. I'd be like, wait, like I'd be like, it would just be too much. And then add on layers of, talk about parenting and roles, like being a parent. I mean that ugh, God, I don't know how you guys do it.
That's why I like family constellation because when I was in talk therapy, traditional therapy for years, I just felt
Mm-hmm.
that I'm just scratching the surface. So family
Mm-hmm.
constellation could bring me deep enough and
Mm-hmm.
bring me out of it. And it just healed so much quicker and more effective way. And I'm not saying that for everybody this modality works, but what I would recommend that you do some research and you find the modality that works for you the best. And there
Mm-hmm.
are so much out there, like from energy healing and all the different modalities that are out there, the
Yes.
shamanic, the family constellation, the therapy, all sorts of things.
Yes.
But find a modality that works for you, that resonates with you. Find the
Mm-hmm.
person, the therapist
Yes.
that works with you and
Yes.
feels like, okay, I get you.
Yeah. Or like a
Because,
coach. Yep.
like,
Yep.
if you want a coach, then do coaching, but do some soul searching with the coaching too. It's like whatever feels right for you, but just do the work. Then take
I
it. Just do
it's
the
so funny.
work.
And I tell people all the time too, and you said that it is right. It is painful. I mean, when you have to look at parts of yourself that you sometimes like you didn't even know were there, or you know what I mean, or you forgot, or you just pushed, you suppress so much that then they come when they come out, you have like a visceral reaction that you are not happy with. Like healing as like soft and as gentle as it sounds, it's not there's nothing soft and gentle about in my experience. There's
No, it's
nothing
not
soft
just
and
like
gentle about it.
sage and like
Yeah.
meditation music and
Yeah,
sitting and
it's
just like, no,
no, that's
no.
yeah, and I like I always say to people, and I do that in my coaching. Like I'm a very different coach because of my background and learning about, family therapy and systems. I can't, and I tell them if we can't step a little bit in your past, I'm not saying live there, but we have to do a little bit of inner work before we move forward. Because some people come to me and they're like, "Oh, yes, I want to change my life and do X, Y, Z." And I'm like, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa." I'm like, "Slow it down a little bit." I'm like, "Let's look at ourselves in the mirror. Let's, reflect a little bit. Let's see what patterns are coming up." Because that's my one uh signal or a sign with, with if there's a continuous pattern coming up, I'm like, all right, that might be generational or if something deeper is going on in there. That's making that impact on that person's life and their decision makings and their behavior. So that's where like my mind goes, but I also know like I'm very different, and I will say, you said, find what modality that works for you. If you are looking for a system, what we're talking about, the family constellation, systemic thinking, go to a marriage and family therapist. We are trained for that. I'm not knocking licensed professional counselors, mental health, was it MHCs or LMHCs or whatever, licensed mental health counselors, but they're not trained to think the way we're talking about,
Yeah.
you know?
Whatever works for you, find
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
and
whatever
do
works, but
whatever works. Yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah.
find it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this has been such a wonderful conversation, Blanca. I love having guests like you on the podcast that I could just talk to you all day about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know. And we love
I know
that.
it's refreshing.
It's refreshing. Yeah.
And
This is
thank
what
you for
sparks.
that.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank
much
you
for
so
having
much.
me and the opportunity.
Absolutely. And for and you are on all this. You sent me all your links, which I will add into the show notes. You
Yes.
can follow Blanka on you have a Facebook group. Her website is awareness.com.
.net.
.net.
Awareness
Excuse me. I
.net.
apologize.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Awareness.net. And you
Awareness
can work
.net.
with her because she's amazing. And as usual, you can find the Feeling and Healing podcast on YouTube as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify.